Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Surviving UX podcast. I am Meg Kramer. My co host is Jessamine Edwards. Now, as we all know, Jessamine has been just in this RTO state of things. So we might check back in with you, Jessamine, on RTO. Is it
hmm
RTO or GTFO? What's going on with you?
So it's RTO for me. I'm back in the office for 3 days a week, and I have to say, I have had some positives
That's
come
good.
out of it unexpectedly. I feel just wildly energized because for the last year, I've been coming into the office and sitting alone because I
Mm-hmm.
had a team that was on the West Coast. But recently, I joined an East Coast team that has a presence in my office. So when I come into the office, there are people there on my team, and
Mm-hmm.
it is thrilling. It is thrilling. I cannot tell you. It's like I'm going to a party. I feel like I'm going to a party every day and everyone has to be there to party
That's
with me. And so I'm
yeah.
I'm way too excited about it, and I'm kind of hamming it up a little bit too much at the office. I think I need to cool my jets a little bit, but I'm like, "Hey, do you want to talk
You
to me?"
Yeah, maybe you're more of an extrovert than I thought you were. Maybe you do thrive off other people. This is interesting. I got to go to the office just randomly like a week or so ago, and it did feel like a party. And I was thinking I was there for one day, not one like 8 hour day, and I was thinking like it can't possibly be like this every day, right? It can't be,
Right.
but you're kind of telling me, is it? Is it like
I
this every
mean, I can't tell you how excited I was. Like, be still my heart, because somebody sent out a doodle poll. Do you remember doodle polls?
day? Uh-huh,
And
uh-huh.
they were like, we're going to organize a holiday party and we need to pick a date and time. And I just, like, my heart was about to beat out of my chest. I was like, a holiday party? I haven't been to a holiday work party in years. And I'm thinking the last one I went to was in the middle of the Omicron variant wave during
Uh-huh.
like deep COVID, when people were like, are you guys nuts? Why are you having a holiday party? And my manager
Yeah.
at the time was like, we are partying. Bring your vaccination card. So I'm like, I can't, I'm so excited to get to go to a holiday party. I'm like, this is probably going to be a conference room with snacks, but I'm still
Mm-hmm.
so excited. And I've already had these lame fantasies where I'm like
Mm-hmm.
in like a very cute velvet top and like lipstick, and I'm like walking walking into the office in my cute holiday party outfit. I'm like, I'm so lame, but I can't help it. I'm so excited.
Well, we will need pictures of you in your cute velvet top. I used
This
to wear
the tr
velvet clothes when I was a
oh,
kid. Like that was such an 80s like vibe for little
yes.
kids.
Yes,
Anyway,
big velvet holiday dresses with like a big
yeah.
lace
Yeah.
collar, and they would always be like for sale at the department stores. And as like a little girl, you're like, oh my God, the holiday dress. And it was such a big deal to get a holiday dress.
Yeah, I think mine were always hand-me-downs and itchy, and I didn't love them. So anyway, well, Jasmine, please feel free to bring in pictures of your amazing holiday party. I'll take my solo shots of me just partying by myself. Well, it's not just a party of two of us today. We do have a awesome guest to join us today on the podcast. So we'll segue over to talking to our guest today, and we'll see. I don't know if there's any. We don't know much about like the RTO world for this guest or fully remote or anything like that. So maybe he has opinions as well. But today our guest is a product design lead at the agency One North. According to LinkedIn, he also freelances and is an adjunct professor at North Carolina University. So this means I am totally not sure how he has find the time to be on our podcast today, but we're certainly glad he could join us today. So welcome, Matt Rogers. Welcome to the podcast.
Hello, thank you so much for having me. I would
Hey,
absolutely make time
Matt.
for this any day.
Yay. So good to have
Awesome.
you.
Yeah, yeah. So tell us a little bit about One North. Is it like a fully remote situation? Do you have an office that you go into?
So I personally am fully remote and loving my work from home life.
Yeah.
We do have an office based out of Chicago that some folks go into regularly, but I am very happy to spend my days in my apartment with my dog.
And
Nice.
we saw earlier you have a lovely little home office there. All very decked out. So it does look like a very cool place to work. Maybe it needs to
Thank
inspire
you.
me to not
Yeah,
just
I have to admit, I was like, ooh, I'm glad I put my folding screen up behind me because on the other side of that is just a kind of a empty guest bedroom. There's not a lot of decor, but I
Yeah.
definitely appreciate it when someone does have a really cute background.
Yeah,
It,
yeah.
it was
Well,
a product of the pandemic. I definitely leaned into my maximalist side when I realized I'd be spending all of my time at home.
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Nice. Good for you.
Yeah. So we all met at the UX Y'all conference. And I do want to talk a little bit about your conference talk specifically because it is stuck out to me for sure for a couple of reasons. But first, I thought we would just let's talk let's do conference talk. So
Mm.
you've we were all at this conference together, and overall, I thought like our talks with went off without much of a hitch. And we talked a little bit in our mini episodes about kind of what we enjoyed about it and all that kind of stuff. But like thinking back, have you guys had any bad conference experiences or anything that you've had to do to kind of like tips or tricks to kind of get through situations at conferences?
Matt,
I
what
can
about you?
definitely I can definitely talk about what I would say is probably my shakiest conference performance.
Uh-huh.
Um, in my defense, it was one of my first ones, and I had prepped to speak to a room of about 50, but instead got a room of 500.
Oh,
And
wow.
I just quite simply hadn't catastrophized enough in my head to be prepared for 500 people. And
Oh,
so
I also feel
oh,
like
go ahead.
that might be a conference organizer like give you a little bit of a heads up situation. Ooh.
It was a shock to the system for sure. And the reason it became so shaky was just because I reverted to the most robotic type of performance that I could and only read directly from my slides. I personally am a
Oh
bit of an
no.
ad libber. I don't go into it reading notes specifically, but in this instance, I turned into everybody's favorite corporate robot, just talking about synergy and revenue goals and data driven decisions, and just fully stopped being a human. Um, and then at the very end of my presentation, I was taking questions still in this robot mode. And all of my conference talks have a DNI bent to them, and I'd been talking a lot about identity and my identity as a queer man in the tech space during this talk. And a woman approached me and asked how she could support her child who she thought may grow up to be a gay person. Um,
Mm.
and because I had been in such a robotic and like super nervous mode, I could not come up with a satisfying answer for this woman
Mm.
because I was so thrown off. And to this day, it haunts me because I know exactly how I'd answer that question now, being a
Mhm.
human and having the experiences that I do. But
And
at that
not a
time, I
robot.
was so and not a robot, but I was
Well,
so focused on what was on
do
my slides.
let's do a do-over. Let's do a do-over. If what was the way she phrased it? What was her question as she phrased it originally?
Absolutely. So she approached me and said that she had a young child that she had suspicions would grow up to become a gay person. And she
Mm-hmm.
wanted to know what she could be doing now to best
Mm.
support her child in growing up to become somebody who is successful in life, successful in their career. Um, and I think now my only response to this mom would be like, to me, it sounds like you're already doing it. The fact that
Oh.
you are
Mm.
looking for answers, the facts that you're coming up to people that may share an identity that you yourself aren't familiar with and looking for ways to best support your child however they grow up to be. I think I would gamble that that mom is probably already doing
Mhm.
what she needs to be doing to make
Mm,
sure that child feels seen and heard.
right. Aw.
Yeah.
Well, that's cool. I
Yeah.
mean, this was in North Carolina, or where was this?
It was in North Carolina.
Okay.
Have you
Yeah,
done
because
most of your kind of speaking engagements kind of like in the area where you live and work?
I have, yeah. So I've actually most of my speaking has been at UX Y'all throughout the years.
Oh, so
Um,
you're a
I
repeat.
I am. I like to joke that it's my hometown conference, but I've gotten to speak at it 3 times now. Um,
Oh,
and
oh,
it's one of my favorite places to go and interact with other UXers in the field.
I
that's
was
so cool.
I also had a great time. It was our first time going, and we had this hypothesis that these kind of more local oriented experiences might be just a little bit more enriching, a little bit more fulfilling. And I
Hmm.
feel like even though I'm not from that area, like I feel like that was that proved true. Did you see any like changes in the conference over the years that you've been able to attend and speak at it? Anything like that's evolved for you?
Absolutely. I think one of my favorite things, especially this year, is they actually scaled back between last year and this year to really focus on delivering an intimate and like enriching
Hmm.
conference experience for all of the attendees. I feel like some of the other conferences I've been to, the idea is grow as big as possible, have as many sessions as possible. Um, and it's just
Yeah.
a lot of smoke and mirrors, almost like a music festival more so than a
Mm,
conference. And
Yeah.
UX Y'all does
hmm
a very good job at curating their um, speakers, curating the booths that are there, paying attention to the venue and how people are going to be able to interact and see and hear all of the
Mhm.
sessions. So I've really appreciated
mm.
the care that has gone into it as it's become a more mature conference.
Very cool. It was a while ago now, now that we're kind of in the end of November here. So one thing I'm curious about, let's just go around and say like since it's been enough time for us to forget what we experienced there or what we learned there, like what was something that was sticky and kind of like stuck out in your mind um from the conference? Jessamine, does anything come to
Um,
mind for you? Can you remember anything, Jessamine?
I mean, I think that like there was a lot of AI themey stuff
Yeah.
where, and I think some of it just sailed right over my head. As I watched like the 35th AI generated
Image.
illustration come up on the
Uh-huh.
screen. I was just
Yeah.
like, okay, robot ladies, I get it.
Yeah, I
Uh,
know you nudged me a couple times and you were like, look at her hands. Her hands look so weird. Um, and by that I
um,
mean the hands of
yeah,
the woman in the image on the slide, not the hands of
yeah,
the person presenting.
yeah. Somebody was telling me the other day that like there's a meme out there of two AI generated hands shaking. And they're like, if AI comes for our job, then this is the picture of AI accepting the job offer. And it's like, 18 fingers and three elbows and two wrists. And it's just like weird mashups.
Yeah.
I think for me, the thing that stuck out was I think always getting to meet people who are just getting into UX design and they're just starting their career and they're sort of looking around for like opportunities and to
Mhm.
understand like and we were talking to somebody, one person at a table who had like just left the therapy profession to get into UX. I
Mhm. Oh
remember. And
yeah.
I
Yeah.
remember thinking like, wow. I mean, I guess I'm like, I hope this pans out for everybody. That's what I was
Hmm.
thinking is that I
Hmm.
hope that this career pays off and pans out for people because I feel like UX, it can really go both ways. It can be a huge wave of, opportunity and interesting projects and cool coworkers and, high paying jobs and perks, or it can be a very rough road and for people who go through layoffs or they get stuck on weird teams or bad
Hmm.
coworkers
Just like
or
a round
meaningless
table of
projects.
bosses that suck.
Just, I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I think when I meet people who um, talk about their work and some of the work that UX gets asked to do, and how frustrating it can be to get asked to use your skills in certain ways. Like, hey, we really just want to get people to click on this thing and drive up our numbers, and so we're going to make it like a trap. And they have to click on this thing and that, it's going to take up half the screen, and it's like,
Hmm.
there's no thought about actual needs or whatever. Like that's like such a bummer for somebody who's creative and who has so much talent. So I think I hope these people are finding these jobs where they get to have some impact, And so that was the thing I was thinking as I was meeting these people who are students, new grads looking for their first opportunity, is like who's going to snap them up
Yeah.
and how are they
Yeah.
going to, and what's this profession going to feel like for them? Are they going to be glad they majored in it? Yes,
Well,
that,
if anybody's
yeah.
listening in real time, this is the season of like internship openings, and everybody
Yes.
and their mother is applying. Like, they're going to get thousands and thousands of applicants for these roles, but it is that time of year. So hopefully there will be some like
Mm-hmm.
meaningful experiences for sadly a handful, but not everyone.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess, to folks out there, keep an eye out for those. That's maybe one way to
Mm-hmm.
to maybe get to a good place with your career. So my things, I'll go quickly. Weirdly, I'll say one thing that was like an actual learning thing, and then one thing that was just something that I remember is I was in the bathroom and there was another person who was brushing their teeth like midday in like the bathroom at the facility, and I was like, man, like that's great because then they know when they're like shaking hands with people and talking that they like don't have food in their teeth or whatever, like their breath smells
Mm-hmm.
good. And it just made me all of a sudden like very self-conscious of like, should I be brushing my teeth in the bathrooms during the middle of the day of conferences? So that was one really random takeaway that I still remember.
Mm.
And then another one is probably just the public sector roles and jobs and the talks
Mm.
around that, because I just feel like I'm so private sector like focused, and maybe the Eastern Seaboard, especially like that area of the world that we were close to, like the Washington D.C. area, like maybe there are just more opportunities out there for public sector UX work. And I find that really
Mm-hmm.
interesting because I think about some of the people who maybe are not having really good times with their jobs right now in the private sector. They might be like better suited for
Mm-hmm.
like that might be a place that has more meaning. It certainly comes with its own challenges, and there was a whole talk about that, which I thought was super fascinating. But like that's another takeaway I had. I don't think it's for, well, I mean, I'd like to think it would be for me, but
Mm-hmm.
I think that also like it might be for people um who like do really deeply care about people, and
Mm-hmm. True
um
empaths.
yeah, of course I deeply care about
Yeah,
people,
it's more
but
mission driven
more mission
work.
driven. Thank you for
Yeah.
saving me here. All right, so Matt, what if anything kind of stuck with you?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the biggest thing that stuck with me was just the number of talks that focused on failure
Mm.
and
Oh yeah,
overcoming obstacles and
mm,
hostile clients.
Mm.
Do you deal with that
I
since you're in an agency?
I mean, I think for sure there are definitely times where you misread a direction and then user test it and the users tell you no thank you, please try that again.
Mhm,
Um,
mhm,
Mm.
and I think especially in a conference space, talking about failures, talking about things that went wrong is just a much more interesting space to live in than emerging tech or wins
Mhm.
from big product companies. I mean, like those wins in emerging tech certainly have their place, but when you get this number of people together, I think it's so much more fun to talk about the things that have gone wrong and the lessons you've learned from that.
Mhm.
Um,
Hmm.
Especially because I mean, you all talk about it on this podcast a lot, but this field isn't very old.
Mhm.
So it's not like
Hmm.
we all know exactly what we're doing. Like we're
Right.
kind of, it's the blind leading the blind half the time, where we're
Mm.
just learning to see what happens. And I think talking about it in the conference space is a really fun way to spend the 2 or 3 days that we're all sort of away from our computers for a bit and engaging with each other.
Yeah. The one talk that I regret not going to was the one called The Only L's Are Lessons. I think that was the title of the talk.
Mm-hmm.
And she, that was the whole topic was all of the things that kind of had gone wrong and the things that she had or the speaker had learned. And I regret having not made it back. I think Jasmine, you and I were at the gift shop, the Children's Museum gift shop at the time. And we
Guilty
made
as
it back just
charged.
for the tiny bit at the end of that particular talk.
Yes,
But
I
I'd love to
actually
learn
was
more.
also really surprised at the number of talks that were themed around like very personal topics. Like I in the past when I've gone to UX conferences, we're looking at buttons, we're looking at redesign
Mm-hmm.
projects, we're looking at
Hamburger
we tested a
menu.
purple background and we tested a blue background and more people like the purple background. And this conference was not like that at all. There was very little of that. It was much more about like personal growth and development and career, setbacks and like you said, overcoming obstacles, overcoming failures. I was very surprised. And I was thinking, this is a reflection of the state of this industry right now that people feel the need to do all this kind of self-help and positive self-talk and like kind of cheerleading type messages because I think that it shows that people who work in this industry are exhausted.
So what Matt, you were not exhausted on was talking about the topic for your talk, which was on collective intelligence. And I don't know if you
Mm-hmm.
want to like give away the punchline or anything for that. Want to make sure people come see you talk in other venues and other forums too. But one thing I have a question about is like I think you get to a point to, or I get to a point to wanting to go to a conference and talk about things or be more public about my ideas when I get like super obsessed with an idea or or I'm trying to sort like I'm trying to solve like a problem that's really like grating on me. So what was
Mm-hmm.
it about this topic that like made you so interested enough to get to this level of wanting to make it into a talk?
Yeah, absolutely. I think for me, it all stemmed from actually a really offhanded comment that my partner made. He's a psychologist by training and works in academia, and so occasionally just drops like the most brilliant and wild nuggets of information that I've ever heard. And so one day we were talking, and he mentioned that Dr. Anita Williams Woolley found that a predictor of team success was the number of women on the team.
Mhm.
And the more women on a team, the better those teams performed. And immediately, like he said this in passing, but I was like, do people know about this? I feel like people need to know about this.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, as like I joke in my talk that as a guy who grew up in a house of all women, I feel like that's a pretty clear finding. It makes sense to me. But I think sometimes it requires a little bit more digging into as to why these things are happening. So in my talk, I discuss metrics of things like social sensitivity that women routinely outperform men in, which may be a reason why they are so good in these team settings. And so I go on to talk about how teams can implement things like social sensitivity and collaboration and diversity to make their teams perform at their highest. And I think the reason why this became so big to me, and I became so obsessed with it. One, because the findings of Dr. Woolley were so great, but also just because I spend all of my time on teams.
Mm.
I am never working alone. I'm never on a
Mm-hmm.
project by myself. And so naturally, I want my teams to be a place that I enjoy being and people that I enjoy talking to. Um, and that takes work. It very rarely just happens that you're dropped on a team that you're like, sweet, everybody gets along. There's never any conflict, and we do a great
Mm,
job every
true.
day.
Yeah.
So I have a question for you. What,
Mhm.
as I've been reflecting, I change teams quite frequently, actually. This is something that I've just learned about myself, and I'm not going to fight it. I just do it. I like change. So, but I realize like I don't sometimes feel like I have the skills to deal with like really bad situations or really uncomfortable, coworkers or things like that, that I just am like, I'm out, I'm moving on. I
Mhm.
don't need to deal with it. I don't have to resolve it. I've kind of gotten to the point I feel like in my life where I'm just like, I'm too old for this shit and I'm just moving on. So, I'm curious, like, since you are kind of tuned into this topic of teams and how they work well together, I mean, what do you do? What have you done in the past when you found yourself in a really, bad situation or bad team situation, bad dynamics?
Definitely. I think first and foremost, I will never shame somebody for leaving a team that is not working for them.
Mm-hmm.
Especially in this industry, there's always another team. There's always,
Mm-hmm.
especially in larger organizations, if something is not working for you, there is no shame in finding something that will.
Mm-hmm.
But for whatever reason, if you want to stick it out, if there is not an opportunity to move, I think one
Mm-hmm.
of the best ways to mitigate some conflict, handle some tension, is try to return to some sort of common ground by way of how you agreed to communicate with each other, how the team cooperates, how you set up your methods of feedback. It's very easy to get caught up in our deadlines and schedules of
Mm-hmm.
delivery and sort of the politics of dealing with clients. And so sometimes we get kind of lost in the day to day and neglect our relationships with our team members. But if we can take a break and say, hey, so when I first joined the team or when we first started working together as a team, we agreed that we would work between these hours or we would communicate this way with each other on Slack or Teams. Or we agreed to have check-ins twice a week, and I think we've moved away from that, or maybe this isn't serving our needs anymore and we need to make a change. But bringing it back to the common ground and the things you've agreed upon, that you've normed upon, and allowing that to be your place that you have a conversation takes the personal sting out of
Mm.
saying, I'm having an issue with this one person on my team, and
Mm-hmm.
it's insurmountable, and either they have to go or I have to go. Maybe
Mm-hmm.
instead saying, okay, I'm having this issue, and it's becoming a team issue. So could we potentially meet one more time a week and see if that mitigates some of this tension that we're having to get us on the same page a
Mhm.
little bit more? Or maybe we
Mm.
change the way that we communicate. Maybe we're not sending like 700 Slack messages to each other. We're jumping on a call and talking face to face.
The 700 Slack messages, I I have is really resonating. It's hitting for me because I recently read a book called Deep Work by Cal Newport, and it talked about distraction and trying to
Mhm.
intentionally minimize distraction. And I realized how much of my energy goes into looking at Slack all day and checking. I mean, we have an unbelievable number of channels and threads
Yeah.
that light up constantly. And I feel like in the past, I'm like, I'm a good employee if I'm responsive, right? I'm a good teammate if I'm
Mhm.
responsive. And if I leave someone hanging for hours, that's frustrating, right? Like I might be blocking them. But then part of me is like, I think I'm just doing this because it's like a dopamine hit to check these
Mm.
things
Yeah.
and,
People, yeah.
respond.
people should not look at my Slack, like how I have my Slack organized, because it will totally show you like the priority order of like the people and projects like I will actually check. Because yeah, like I think that that would be very telling of like where you rank in my desirability to be focused on this particular issue and be interrupted, to do it. And like I was just about to pull up my Slack just to tell you guys how many unread channels I have. Like
Oh, that would do me
just
absolutely insane. I could not.
I just constantly have like dozens of unread channels.
See
Um
that you have a lot more willpower than
I,
me.
I just I just bury them. Yeah, I just
You
bury them.
do. Because I
Yeah.
couldn't stand it.
My other thing, Matt, that as you were telling as you were describing kind of like some of the ideas around like teams, I was thinking the other thing, again, if people are listening to this in real time, holidays are coming up. What if your team is your
Hmm.
family or family systems? Maybe some of these things could also apply to getting through the holidays. So that's just
Oh,
that's just
absolutely.
that's just a nugget I'll drop because what you were saying
Ugh.
made me think about that. So I can't have us leave this conversation without talking about your slide deck. So obviously you had great content for your talk, but the thing that like totally stuck out to me was your slides were unique. They were like they all had a theme that they kind of revolved around. Like I'm talking about like the visuals of the slides. And I I have to tell you, I am working on a deck right now, and it's like it just like I hate it. I want to like claw my eyes out. Not because of, well, actually sort of some of the stuff of what I'm like creating I don't think is great, but I also just like I can't seem to get myself to do this type of work. And as someone who I've seen do it really well, I'm curious, is it that I don't have the skill? Is it that I don't have like the motivation? Like what is going on here? What are your thoughts when you come to like a slide deck?
For sure. I think especially for conference talks, but honestly for any slide deck in general, the battle is always trying to keep a room full of screen addicted tech professionals paying attention to you. And I just think the number one way to do that is make your screen the prettiest screen in the room so they're not as tempted to look at
Mm.
Mm.
anything else that they have going on. Um, and I think my chosen way to do that is just to find a cheesy theme from within my talk or presentation and lean into that visually. So, for
Mm.
example, for the talk that I gave at UX Y'all, I said that collective intelligence was a cheat code. And so, where do cheat codes come in? Video games. My visual theme is going to be like a knockoff Super Mario theme. Um, and it gave me a really fun jumping off point to think about like, okay, can I now call some of my larger talking points power ups? And can I show various processes as like levels in a video game? So I am not afraid to create something that's a little bit funny and a little bit ridiculous, especially when you're talking to a room full of professionals, because I think levity is always a great idea and stuff like this. And it makes people interested not only in your content, but also in the presentation itself when you have pretty pictures. So I
Yeah.
would say try and find some silliness into it. Try and find something that is a little bit goofy. At the end of the day, we're all just like people in a room talking about stuff that we're excited about. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and so why not just have flashy things up on the screen to pull some focus alongside the content that you're sharing?
That's so great. Like I love the I love the just make your screen the prettiest screen in the room, and then
Mm-hmm.
they'll have to be kind of like pulled away from whatever's going on, whatever text message they're getting, and work Slack and that kind of thing. That's great.
Yes.
That makes me hopeful. I think I'm gonna make it. Maybe not. We will see. Time will tell.
I
I
mean, Meg, you
will.
do have some visual skills because right now I have your very cute stickers on my
Oh,
laptop instead Somebody actually asked me about them at work the other day.
Oh my
They're
gosh.
like, cute stickers. And my daughters have your stickers above their bed on the
Oh,
wall, on their like sticker wall,
oh
sticker slash
man.
booger wall.
Oh my
Aw.
God. Oh, dear God. Dear God. Okay.
Let's
All
be
right.
real.
Well, oh man. All right. Well, I think with that, Matt, is there anything coming up for you, or any other talks you've got in the works? Are you taking this one on any on a road show, or any, you said you're a professor as well. Are you teaching a class coming up in the next, few months or anything?
I'm actually just wrapping up teaching a class at my alma mater, NC State. I am teaching second years about typography and technology. So
Hmm.
that has taken over my presentation quota for the rest of the year. So I think I'm gonna hang out for a little bit, see what the rest of the UX world comes up with for presentations, get inspired, and see if something else spurns a new topic for me in the new year.
Awesome.
Nice.
Awesome. Well, I definitely recommend your talk on collective intelligence. I think it's great. So if there is a way, I think the way to get access to it is to become a TriUXPA member, and then I think they have the recordings somewhere. But Matt, thank you so much for hanging out with us and being on the call with us today.
Yeah, Matt, thank you so much for joining us. It was awesome having you.
Of course. Thank you so much for spending the time to chat with me today. This was so much fun.
If you need any advice or sympathy for your UX career, we are listening. Write to us at survivingux@gmail.com. Bye bye.
This episode was produced and edited by Jessamine Edwards and Meg Kramer. Our theme music is Opus Number 1 by Tim Carlton and Derek Deal. Now, you go on, get out of here. Go be the prettiest screen in the room.